What if a judge ruined a billionaire's life? Not because of the law, but because of personal issues. And what if that billionaire's revenge shocked the world? Imagine this. A billionaire known for their success and influence suddenly finds their entire world turned upside down. Not by a legal battle, but by the personal vendetta of a judge who let their own biases interfere with the law. What happens next isn't just a story of power and money. It's a shocking tale of how one person's revenge can change everything. But here's the twist. This billionaire didn't just sit back and accept the injustice. No, their response was nothing like what anyone expected. It was bold, it was calculated, and it shocked the entire world. In this video, we'll dive into the details of this unbelievable case. You'll learn how a personal grudge from a judge led to a legal disaster for a billionaire, and the shocking revenge that followed. We'll explore the lesser-known facts behind this real-life story that left the public questioning the very foundations of the justice system. So stay tuned until the end, because you won't believe how this story unfolds. Welcome to Craze TV, the channel where we bring you the most intriguing, jaw-dropping stories. If you haven't yet, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an incredible tale like this one. The billionaire in question was no ordinary individual. Starting from humble beginnings, they quickly rose to prominence, building an empire from scratch. They were a visionary, always thinking several steps ahead, turning seemingly small opportunities into multi-million-dollar ventures. Whether it was in technology, real estate, or luxury goods, they had a keen sense for what would succeed in the market. With each successful business, their wealth grew exponentially, and so did their influence. Soon they were more than just a businessman. They became a symbol of success, a name everyone recognized. Their face graced the covers of major magazines, and their business decisions were dissected in the media. Investors and competitors alike watched their every move. This billionaire wasn't just rich. They were a powerhouse, a figure whose actions could shift markets and public opinion alike. But it wasn't just the size of their fortune that made them stand out. Their influence extended into every corner of society. They were often sought after for advice by politicians, celebrities, and other influential figures. Charitable donations and public acts of philanthropy only enhanced their public image, casting them as a person who not only accumulated wealth but used it for good. The billionaire became a household name admired by many for their drive and success. However, despite all their wealth and influence, this billionaire had one thing that many didn't: enemies. And it's these enemies who would play a significant role in the unfolding events. The judge at the center of this story was no stranger to high-profile cases. A respected figure in the legal world, they held a prestigious position in the court, dealing with cases that ranged from family disputes to corporate conflicts. This particular case, however, was unlike any they had faced before. It was a business-related legal battle involving the billionaire's empire, and it was about to become much more personal than anyone could have imagined. While on the surface the judge seemed to approach the case with professionalism, it quickly became clear that there were deeper issues at play. Unbeknownst to most, the judge had a complicated history with the billionaire. Years earlier, the two had crossed paths under tense circumstances. Perhaps a past business deal gone wrong, or a disagreement over a shared social circle. The judge harbored a lingering resentment, one that seemed to cloud their judgment. This personal history with the billionaire seemed to influence the decisions they made in the courtroom. The ruling that followed was nothing short of controversial. Despite the overwhelming evidence in favor of the billionaire, the judge handed down a decision that shocked everyone. It wasn't just a minor ruling. It was a game-changer, one that would drastically impact the billionaire's life and business. The decision was based on personal bias rather than legal facts, something that became glaringly obvious to those watching the trial unfold. The billionaire's business interests were severely compromised, and the effects rippled through their career, tarnishing their reputation and jeopardizing relationships with key partners. For the first time in years, the billionaire faced a real crisis, and it was all thanks to a judge whose personal issues had tainted their ability to act impartially. When the billionaire first heard the judge's ruling, they were in complete disbelief. Anger coursed through their veins as they tried to process what had just happened. For someone who had built their empire through calculated decisions and hard work, this ruling felt like a direct attack, not just on their business, but on their integrity. The frustration was overwhelming. How could the law, something they had always trusted, be manipulated by personal grudges? It was a bitter pill to swallow. This was no longer about business. It was about their very reputation and future being put into jeopardy by the unfairness of one individual. As the news of the ruling spread, the public reaction was swift and intense. The media, known for its scrutiny of high-profile figures, wasted no time in covering the case. But this wasn't just another legal story. The injustice of the situation was evident to everyone, and many began to question the integrity of the legal system. Supporters of the billionaire, investors, partners, and even employees felt the sting of the decision too. They couldn't understand how such a ruling could be handed down, especially when it was so clearly influenced by personal bias. The billionaire's reputation took a hit, and people who had once admired them began to voice their outrage. It wasn't just the billionaire who was affected. It was the people who believed in the fairness of the system. This was the moment when the billionaire realized this wasn't just another case. They had been wronged on a personal level. The legal battle had shifted into something far more serious. No longer was it about navigating the courts or regaining control of their business. This had become a matter of vindication. The billionaire made a choice that day. They weren't going to quietly accept this defeat. Instead, they would find a way to take back what was rightfully theirs, and in doing so send a message that would reverberate across the world. What began as a legal challenge would soon evolve into a calculated revenge that would shock the world. Once the billionaire decided that they would not let the injustice slide, they began to put their vast resources and intelligence to work. The wheels of revenge started turning, but it wasn't going to be a simple retaliation. The billionaire had the money, the influence, and the connections to make a move, but they understood that a direct confrontation would be too obvious and too risky. Instead, they began planning a more subtle, calculated strategy, one that would catch the judge completely off guard. The billionaire knew that they had to be smart. They used their network of lawyers, advisors, and public relations experts to craft a multi-layered plan. The first step was to use legal channels to challenge the judge's ruling. However, instead of attacking the decision head-on, the billionaire subtly began to target the judge's credibility. Small details, past rulings, inconsistencies in their legal reasoning, and even potential conflicts of interest began to surface. These details were slowly and carefully leaked to the media, raising questions about the judge's impartiality without directly accusing them. The media, always eager for a sensational story, quickly picked up on the potential scandal. But the billionaire didn't stop there. They knew that to truly hit the judge where it hurt, they had to create a public spectacle. Behind the scenes, they forged unexpected alliances with influential figures, politicians, business moguls, and even legal reform advocates. These allies, some of whom had their own grudges against the judge, began to make public statements about the fairness of the judiciary and the need for transparency. The pressure was mounting, and the judge had no idea where it was coming from. Then, the shocking moment arrived. The judge, who had been oblivious to the growing storm, began to see the consequences of their actions in real time. Public opinion, once supportive of them, started to turn. Media outlets, once careful in their reporting, now began to openly question the judge's motives. The final blow came when the billionaire used their influence to secure a high-profile interview during which they subtly referenced the case, casting doubt on the judge's character without directly attacking them. The media went into overdrive, and the judge suddenly found themselves under intense scrutiny. The world watched in stunned silence as the consequences of the judge's biased ruling became clear. The billionaire's plan had worked flawlessly, and the judge realized, perhaps too late, that they had underestimated the power and influence of the person they had wronged. The judge's downfall came swiftly and with a force that was impossible to ignore. As the media spotlight intensified, the cracks in the judge's career began to widen. What had been small whispers of doubt grew into full-blown scandals. Investigations into their past decisions, along with a growing number of public criticisms, led to a swift and unavoidable response. The judge was placed under internal review, and soon after their position was compromised. The very court that once hailed them as a respected figure now had to reckon with the public outrage surrounding their biased ruling. Within weeks, the judge was removed from their position, their career in ruins. It wasn't just their job that was lost. The judge faced intense public humiliation as more details about their personal biases were exposed. They were no longer seen as a respected authority in the legal world, but as a figure of scandal. Their reputation, carefully built over years of work, crumbled in an instant. Legal and ethical investigations followed, and whispers of potential criminal charges started to circulate. It was clear that the judge's actions had crossed a line, and they would pay the price, not just professionally, but personally as well. Meanwhile, the billionaire was not only able to regain control of their empire, but also emerged victorious in a much deeper sense. They had fought back against an injustice and won, not through brute force or public outrage, but by using the very tools that had been used against them: influence, strategy, and the law. They had proven that even the most powerful individuals could be held accountable for their actions regardless of their status. This wasn't just about money or business. It was a statement about the importance of justice and fairness. And the billionaire's actions sent a clear message to the world: no one is above the law, not even those who think they hold the power. The public reaction was mixed. Some saw the billionaire's revenge as a necessary action, applauding them for standing up to corruption and bias within the system. They admired the strategic nature of the move, recognizing that it wasn't just a matter of personal vengeance, but of ensuring that justice was served. Others, however, felt that the billionaire's actions went too far, viewing it as an excessive use of power. They questioned whether the billionaire's response was a form of justice or an act of retaliation that could set a dangerous precedent. Regardless, the impact of this story was undeniable. It sparked debates across the globe about fairness, power, and the lengths to which someone would go to protect their reputation and their rights. In the end, the billionaire showed that personal biases and unfair decisions can have dangerous consequences. The judge's attempts to wield power based on personal grudges not only ruined their career, but also exposed the fragility of the system when justice is clouded by personal interests. But one thing is clear: never underestimate the power of those who have the resources to fight back. With determination, intelligence, and the right connections, the billionaire proved that no one, no matter how powerful, is beyond the reach of accountability. So what would you do if you were in the billionaire's shoes? Would you seek revenge or let the law take its course? Think about it. Justice isn't always black and white, and sometimes the consequences of an unjust decision can ripple far beyond what anyone expects. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Craze TV for more shocking and thought-provoking stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. The story presented in this video is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to real events, people, or situations is purely coincidental. The narrative is crafted for entertainment purposes and is not based on actual events.